Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
There is no way I'm going to get through an introduction for this episode because so many people requested to be on this episode. So the only thing that I could say to them was,
as you wish.
Hello and welcome to the Pop Culture Basement Podcast. My name is Mike Jamison, and with me tonight, I was going to call in the Brute Squad, but they are the Brute Squad. Let me go through the list here because this is a supersized, jam-packed episode of Pop Culture. The whole basement is filled with people. I have popcorn, I have snacks out, there's liquor.
Anybody want a peanut?
The air is thick with cigar and cigarette smoke, and it might be something else. I don't know. I don't want to know. Don't tell my mom. She's probably upstairs and banging on the door saying, "What's going on in there?" It's actually Bill's mom. It's actually Bill's mom saying, "I thought you were recording a podcast in there." With me tonight, the all-star squadron of podcast guests. Ladies first. Bellacissa, how are you?
Hello. I put on my Margaret voice.
Bellacissa was waiting on here since 7:30 to get on. I was getting messages asking where the link was.
Where's my link, damn it?
For the podcast, as I was upstairs with my daughter looking for her lost stress ball and listening to Jesus Christ Superstar. Also with us, he's in his fucking Dodgers jersey. Brad, big beard, booty daddy. It's not bad enough that he lives in Mets country, but he's also a Dodgers fan. Brad, how are you?
Hello, how's it going?
For your last ever appearance on one of my podcasts. He actually might be on, but he's losing so much weight that I wouldn't be able to see him. I'll be like, where's he at? I didn't see him. No, I am always happy to have you on, my friend. This guy, his mom might make another appearance. I don't know. I would love to have her on because she's probably a delight. Bill Dunn. Bill, how are you?
I'm okay.
You haven't been on Best Care Anywhere yet because I vouched for you. So I already said to them.
They're talking. They said August. They said
anything that you do, it's not my fault.
Okay.
And finally, from the great state of Indiana, there he is in the darkness. Everybody thinks that I record and it's dark in my basement, but oh no, this guy, I can kind of make out his glasses a little bit. He's like the shadow. He's waiting in the cloak of darkness. Tinfoil Consortium, Anthony, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. It's like a very veiled version of Sam Elliott meets the Shadow, right? If I have too much bright light on, then I'm going to get a sunburn.
I'm the same way. I cannot have it bright down here. People, whenever their guests are on there, they're like, wow, it's really dumb. Like, yes, if there was some way that I could make it even darker and be able to podcast, I would. But this is probably good.
People don't realize that you're part Mogwai.
Exactly.
Hey, as long as we can see you when you start sliding off the desk.
That was the best. Of course, that was the only video podcast that I was ever on.
It's hysterical.
He's at 3,000 feet and holding.
I know, and I can't even do that tonight because I'm the one who's supposed to be the host. See, being a host of a podcast stinks. You don't get to have any fun, but you do actually get to have fun because the reason why I have so many guests on this episode is we are covering the classic, The Princess Bride. And when I put it out there, who wants to be on the Princess Bride episode? There was about 20,000 hands that went up in the Twitterverse. So I had to get 4 of my closest Twitter friends, 4 of my closest podcast friends, and have them on to talk about this beloved classic. And this truly is a podcast basement classic. I mean, this is something that came out in 1987. I'm going to ask you guys, but I did not see it in the theaters. And it's famously, it's one of the greatest cult movies, I would say, because it was not a hit when it came out and just grew and grew because of video cassette rentals, because of viewing on cable. And now it's seen as it's in the Smithsonian. When they save their movies, it's one of the movies that they have deemed that is culturally relevant. Every generation, I grew up with it. I introduced it to my kids. So first of all, did any of you guys see The Princess Bride in theaters? And if not, how did you become fans of The Princess Bride? Go.
I think I saw it in the theater. It certainly seems like something I would have seen in that era. But mostly I remember it I rented it at Blockbuster about 1,000 times. So
Yeah,
I'd go
I was 6 years old at the time, so
Yeah, baby.
I I didn't see it. Don't remember seeing it in the theater. I remember seeing it, WPIX here in New York. One of the Saturday afternoon movies. Along with tons of other stuff at the time. Ferris Bueller and all that. But just between that and HBO and just seeing it hundreds of times, just between all that and then DVD and yeah, so it was originally on regular commercial TV and just became part of the viewing habit.
And then you were wondering why Brad didn't chime in when before we went live, we were all talking about our various ailments and complained about being old. Brad's like, well, I was only 6 when this came out because I'm the youngest one out of all of you.
Such a
Actually, that would
child.
be me.
Yeah, no.
87, I would have been 1.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, but mentally, Bill, you're like 85 years old.
Yes, luckily I'm probably 85. Yeah, I was saying in a meeting the other day, I got a look where I was talking about Bluetooth speakers, and they were like, "We get a cast music." I said, "Well, I have one in my kitchen." They're like, "What do you do it for?" I said, "Well, I put Sinatra on an opera and sing to my sauce." And they're looking at me like, "What?" I'm like, "You don't sing to your sauce?" No. I'm like, "Well, you should because that's probably why it comes out lousy." Uh, Go
So
figure.
you definitely didn't see it in the theaters then.
I definitely did. I saw it like on same with Brad. PI when the cable was first there, we used to get PIX out of New York, and a lot of times their Sunday afternoon movie was like Flash Gordon, The Princess Bride,
Mhm.
all these like what I call '80s cult classics. And that's what I would watch. I still remember seeing the Wally Wick version of Ghostbusters and thinking that was the movie till like I rented it one day and realized no, it's not, and that line's actually funnier. Or I remember the old robot voice that would come on and go, this man is a rodent. Are you sure? Yes, he is a rodent. This man is a rodent. And like the bad 80s dubbing. Everyone's
That
Brad, am I
doesn't
right?
sound
Yeah,
like Bill Murray.
well, you like this big like robotic voice, and it'd be like this like on PIX out of New York, it'd be like this robotic voice, like yes, this. Are you sure this? Yes, this man is a rodent, a tried and true rodent. And it was like overly dubbed so badly. But yeah, video, HBO. Anytime someone leaves, I literally go to them. I go, "Have fun storming the castle," and they look at me, and go, "Huh?" I go, "Never mind."
I cannot be friends with you now.
Yeah,
You
I
don't
and
know the
see, and
Princess
for
Bride.
me, I feel like I'm somewhere between Brad and Bill because when this came out, I was 5.
Oh my God, we're so old, Mike.
I know. I
But
know.
hang on.
But we look
I
so
can
good.
remember. So, like before we picked up, we were talking about all things. May the Lord be with you, and also with you. Lift up your hearts, right?
Yes. God, I just had
But,
flashbacks.
yeah. So, like my mom's best friend at shout out St. Bernard's Church in Peoria, rest in peace. It's no longer sanctified, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like my best friend was my mom's best friend's son, and we were both born on the same day.
Wow.
So the first time I ever saw this was he got this as an early Christmas gift, a St. Nicholas gift, if you will. You get it like 12 days before Christmas, right? So, like, we were in his basement watching it. And when my mom listens to this, she is just going to roll her eyes and chuckle because it was also the same year I learned exactly what each finger meant. But those thin 80s vents, everyone heard what we were saying.
Yeah.
So we're
Oh,
watching
yeah.
The Princess Bride like, oh no, I had someone tell me that this is, So that's my earliest Princess Bride memory. Was he got it for St. Nicholas Day on VHS, which getting a VHS in 88, let's call
Oh,
it.
yeah, that was big time.
Yeah, because I mean that was your big gift.
That was the first time I bought a VHS tape. Was 1980, the summer of '88. My nana, when we were down the Jersey Shore, gave me. We used to be like 45 minutes outside of Atlantic City, and back then, we would go to Atlantic City. They used to have a mall on the boardwalk that looked like an ocean liner. Now it's still there. I think it's empty now, but I think they might have tried to put apartments in there, but I think it's empty. But they had a video store in there. It might have been a Sam Goody, and I bought Young Guns on VHS, and that was the first VHS tape I ever bought. And I think Princess Bride probably had like one of the thicker.
Yeah, it had the pillowcase, as they
It
called
was like a thicker case, yeah.
Yeah, the pillowcase, as they called it, because
Yep.
it would come together and would protect the tape.
But I mean, going back to what Bill said, like joking around, but when you say, because I don't know, you could tell me if I'm talking out of my ass, but Princess Bride, probably one of the most quotable movies ever made.
Oh yeah,
Easily.
Yeah. So if you drop a Princess Bride quote and somebody's like, huh? You know that part, kind of in the back of your head, you're like, oh man, like how does this person not know it? Come on, like how do you not know the Princess Bride?
Well, it means one of two things: they're either too young for you, or B, they're not on your same level.
No. Yeah. When my children were old enough to sit up on their own, I got out all the Star Wars DVDs, and then right next to it, it was the Princess Bride. And then I kind of put aside The Godfather and said, well, maybe when you're 5 or 6, we can watch this.
Yeah, my son watched Chucky when he was 8.
Yeah,
so...
put hair in your chest.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, speaking of tapes and VHS, same thing. My grandfather had a VHS player in like 1989, and we're not sure what happened when he died or when they got rid of the VHS tape. But apparently they found like hours, like we're talking hundreds of VHS. He would tape stuff off the television, everything from nature documentaries to late night HBO to we don't know what was in there. Frankly, there were some tapes like it would go from like Nightmare on Elm Street to Nightmare on Bambi Street. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, man. Oh, yes. My mom loved the Spice Channel. She used to sit and watch it and say her rosaries to it. And I am not joking. I am not joking. This is the woman who would be afraid that she would go to hell if she didn't go to church every Sunday. Yet she was staying up watching the Spice Channel, saying rosaries to it. But she also watched The Princess Bride with us. I remember I should rename this podcast the Aunt Nini Pop Culture Basement Podcast, because my Aunt Nini lived 2 doors away from us on Meadowlark Place in Southwest Philly. Shout out to Meadowlark Place. That was my aunt. And if we weren't in my basement watching movies or TV shows, we were in her basement. And I remember, and we were also there 2 to 3 times a week eating. She was not singing to her sauce. We called it gravy also, Bill.
Yeah.
But we were over there 2 or 3 times a week eating spaghetti and meatballs and sausage and everything else, because I grew up in an Italian family. I don't have the last name or I don't look Italian, but believe me, they all lived on the same street. So we were over there 3 days a week eating Italian food. So we'd be in the basement, and if we weren't watching Phillies games or Flyers games, we were watching movies, because she didn't have HBO, she had Prism, which was the local Philadelphia cable channel. But Prism would show The Princess Bride all the time. And for some reason, I always forget that it came out in 87, and it came out in the fall of 87. So I'd be in 8th grade at the time. It feels like more of a time of The Neverending Story, which I believe is about 85, I think, is A Neverending Story. I always think of it as being more of a mid-80s movie. Yeah. The good thing about The Princess Bride, because I rewatched it again last night, not that I have to, because I don't know it by heart, but I rewatched it again last night. It doesn't look like it was made in 1987.
No.
It does. I mean, it looks like it was made in the 80s, kind of. but it still has that timeless look that you don't look at it automatically and say, "Oh, yeah, okay, 1987."
Yeah, a lot of the stuff like with Fred Savage and his characters, like it's totally 80s, but because it takes place all in the fantasy land, that it loses that feel of the 80s.
Yeah.
That definitely helps make it feel more timeless.
And
well,
I will
to
say,
me, it feels like
I
a
will
storybook.
say, yes,
Yeah.
you're right.
Like
I
it's
will
like the
say
pictures in the storybook.
Peter Falk. I'm sorry, Bellacissa, I'm
No, you're fine.
interrupting. Peter Falk, one, I can relate to him more now as a father. And
Yep.
two, he always
Yeah.
reminded me of my Uncle Tilio, who lived up the street. My Uncle Tilio sounded like him. He kind of looked like Peter Falk a little bit. He didn't have the Columbo rumply jacket, but he kind of looked like Peter Falk a little bit. He sounded like Peter Falk. He was he was he was the uncle who knew how to get anything and fix anything for you. Anytime our air conditioner broke, there was a leak in the sink or something was broken, we'd call Uncle Tilio and he would come down. He just somehow knew how to fix it. But Bellacissa, go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No,
But,
I was actually talking about it with my son, and to me, it's like live action Shrek. I mean, it feels like
Okay.
the sets look. You can tell they're sets,
Yes.
right? The rocks look like
But that's the
Old
charm
school,
to it
yeah.
too.
they look like old school Star Trek rocks on Mars.
Yes.
But that's on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
They did that on purpose. So it feels like a storybook.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same thing with the ROUSs. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah. The
watching it
roofs.
with my son, and he said like, like that doesn't, he's the jaded teenager. He's like, that doesn't look. You could tell that's fake. I'm like, yes, of course you can.
Of
But that's
course you-
part of the charm of it.
But
It's
I mean,
kinda like-
it's very like one. You have like, if I recall correctly, Warwick Davis playing the ROUS.
Oh, does he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then you have like it's almost like it's two different stories, right? And like
Mhm.
going back to what Brad was saying is the only way you can really tell that it's an 80s movie and give it an actual particular timeline is one, Fred Savage is pre-Wonder Years.
Yep.
Two, there's the old bag of Cheetos sitting
Thank
behind
you.
his
That's
head.
what I'm saying
Yes.
about it. Really old bag of Cheetos, and it opens with
Three, he's got the Mordock Beast Man from She-Ra sitting behind his head, and the mask car that he's sitting on.
And the video game. Is it
video
RBI?
game.
Is he playing
Yeah.
RBI baseball? Is it RBI baseball? that he's
It's
playing?
RBI for Coleco.
Yeah. Okay.
And Refrigerator Perry is the
Yes.
poster
Yes.
behind him.
Yes.
yes.
Now, as a Vikings fan, I have to be like, okay, I get it. It's that period of time. As a Chicago native who is also a Vikings fan, I suffer the ignobility of of not being on that same train. And if she were here, she's working on a project. My significant other would be like, no, that you always had a Fridge Perry, a Ferrari, and you're wearing your Walter Payton jersey.
Yep.
And you're talking about that room. I just learned because I was reading up on it. If you look in the room when Rob Reiner asked Mark Knopfler to do the music, he at first said no. And then he went back to him and said, I really like Dire Straits. I like you. I want you to do the music for the movie. And he said, I'll do it if you somehow slip in the hat that you wear in Spinal Tap as
Yep.
the director. So if you look in Fred Savage's room, the hat is sitting
The hat.
behind him.
Oh
on-
wow, yeah,
Yeah, I was the last time I
noticed
watched it, I was
that.
like, all right, I need to see where I can find. And I was like, oh, there it is. There's the hat.
Yeah.
There's the Bergie hat.
And I mean, also too. I mean, it's there is some sort of with some of those '80s sword and sorcery, sword and sorcery and storybook movies. There is a look to them that does make them that they did something right with the cinematography. Because you look at this movie, you look at. Okay, I'm going to go with another whole different direction from Princess Bride. I'm going to go with Excalibur. Okay. there's a whole other, Excalibur and the Princess Bride are probably never mentioned in the same sentence.
Probably not.
So some of the younger kids going, "What's that movie?"
You can watch it when you're 13.
That's what
Well,
you're
but
13.
even if you take that into consideration, you can go with one that's a bit more, shall we say, Disney Channel Mac tonight.
Dragon Slayer or Willow
I was gonna go with Lady Hawk.
or Lady
It
Hawk.
has a very the set pieces and the on location scenes that they did in Ireland are
Yeah.
are used with Rucker Hauer and Michelle Pfeiffer and Matthew Broderick in Lady Hawk. So that sword and sorcery, and then you can bring it forward to now, right? Because a lot of the sweeping landscapes that they had were used again for Game of Thrones. Which again, like Excalibur, you can watch when you're 13. Game of Thrones, you can watch when you're 40 and have two kids and understand exactly what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I think it's what Bellacissa said too. With it's because they're making it specifically to be a fairy tale. Because the movie itself, and I think this is part of the charm and the reason it has lived on, is for a movie that doesn't take itself very seriously, it still finds a way to be sincere and is never
Yeah.
maudlin. It's funny, but it also, as I said, I can watch it now and look at Peter Falk and say, now I totally get the grandfather. But then I can also watch it and see that Cary Elwes in his performance was perfect for this role. They actually, at one point, Christopher Reeve was looking into making this and wanted to play Wesley, which I can see if he was a little bit younger and it was made a little bit earlier. I could see I see Bellacissa shaking her head. I could see a totally different movie and the way how charming he could be as Superman. I could see him maybe, but it would be a different movie.
It would
And that's
be.
why I'm saying this is also a movie where I said it's one of, if not the most quotable movies ever. It's one of the best cast movies ever.
Oh yeah.
Robin Wright's first role on screen. Cary Elwes, who was an unknown at the time. You knew where to deploy Billy Crystal and Carol Kane without having them in it too much. You have Peter Cook in there for 5 minutes, and everybody remembers him.
Yep.
Chris
Christopher Guest.
Chris Sarandon is great. Christopher Guest, who never really was in. He was on Saturday Night Live at the time this movie, or he was just getting done his one season on Saturday Night Live when this came out, and he was never really in movies. He's more of a director and a writer. Perfect in this.
And is there anything more 80s than Andre the Giant?
Dude,
you're gonna get me and Brad going.
For me,
on
though, also when I eventually saw Mandy Patinkin in other movies, I was like, "There's no way that's Inigo Montoya." I was like, "That's not him."
When you watch him in what's the he's in one of the law shows, the early seasons. Oh, Criminal Minds. He's in the early Criminal Minds.
He was on Chicago Hope, wasn't he? Years ago.
He was on everything.
He was on Criminal Minds. He was also in the first 2 seasons of Dead Like Me.
Oh, okay.
Right.
And he's a great he's a great actor.
He's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
He's also a big time activist now.
Yes, he is. Yeah. Yep.
Going back to Robin Wright, I have my 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. So, just after high school, I decided I didn't want to be in Chicago anymore. And my best friend had moved to the San Francisco Bay Area. So I elected to go to the San Francisco Bay Area by Greyhound and live there for 6 months. I started working at a veterinary clinic in Marin County who had 3 very high profile clients: George Lucas, Sean Penn, and Robin Wright. So as I'm working in this clinic, Sean Penn's 19-year-old wolf dog hybrid,
of course,
is in there. and like they needed help getting him back to their house. So 18-year-old me, for like fresh off the bus from Chicago, like living in my car, taking showers at my buddy's house, I get to like help bring this dog back to Sean Penn and Robin Wright's house and ride with Robin Wright as we're going there, right? And it, not that she's ever going to hear this, but she might remember the conversation. I'm sitting there like stone faced, like Van Damme, right? Have the emotional range of a turnip. And she's like, "You're really quiet." I was like, "I'm not normally this way." She's like, "Is it because I'm like like where are you from?" "I'm from Chicago." "Oh, well, I love Chicago." And we start listing places that were our favorite places. She's like, "Why are you so stony about it?" I'm like, "You don't get it. I am riding in the car with Princess Buttercup." And she starts laughing and she goes, "What, not Jenny?" I was like, for some of us, long before Jenny, there was Buttercup. This is like, I can die a happy man.
You should have gotten into a whole conversation about how Jenny is the true villain of Forrest Gump, and then you could have seen if she
wasn't gonna
agreed
go
with
there,
you.
but
And
let's-
after
let's-
you
let's-
dropped off the dog, and she said thank you, you should have just bowed and said as you wish.
I literally, she's like, "Well, yeah, he goes in here," and their doghouse for this dog was a like 1 to 30 scale model of their house.
Of course.
And they're like, "Well, he goes in here. Can you?" And before she can even say anything, I'm lifting this dog, which wants to rip my face off. He's a 19-year-old wolf dog, but he's a 19-year-old wolf dog.
Mm.
I'm lifting this dog and moving him in because 19's an absurd, right? Absurd age for any type of canid.
Only dog
And she's
outliving
like-
you were tortoise and trees.
What's that?
I said the only thing outliving that dog is tortoise and trees.
George Lucas's cat,
Really?
25 years old.
I had 2
2000.
live to 21.
We're gonna have a side podcast one of these days of Anthony's adventures working in Marin County.
Dude, I have stories, man. But yeah, so like she's like, "Oh, well, I was going to ask you," and I didn't say "as you wish." I was like, "No, it's not a big deal."
It's funny because
she brought me back to the office, and they're like, "How was it?" And I went, "Shit! I had the perfect opportunity."
I watched Forrest Gump with my kids about a week ago. I hadn't seen it in so long, and we watched it, and I totally forgot that it was Robin Wright.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Halfway through, I'm like, "Oh, that's right. It's Princess Buttercup. It's Robin Wright. How did I forget this?"
And it's funny,
And-
at the end of the credits of Princess Bride, it says, "and introducing."
Yeah.
So like it's
Robin
literally her first
Yeah.
role.
Yeah.
And they said when she was cast, they wanted her, and she didn't think that she was right for the part. But then she went to Rob Reiner's house, and William Goldman, who wrote the screenplay and wrote the book that the screenplay and the movie is based on, was there with Rob Reiner, and she knocked on the door, opened the door, and she was framed in the doorway with the sunlight behind her. And
Just the
William
perfect
Goldman
halo
just saw
behind her.
her and said, "That's Buttercup." He said, "That's who I described in my book. It's the most beautiful woman alive." And they said to her again, "We want you to play this role," and she accepted. But yeah, I mean, it's perfectly cast. She is
It is.
amazing in it. Carrie Elways, I am surprised. I did a podcast a couple episodes ago about Buffy, and we talked about Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Mm-hmm.
And I had said that, she could do everything in the show. She could do comedy. She could do action. She sings, for God's sake. She dances. Why did she not become a bigger star? I'm surprised that Carrie Elways did not become a bigger star. Now, the stuff I've seen him in, I've liked him in. But with this role, I mean, he shows, as I said, he can be the romantic lead. He has the looks for it right there. But he can be funny. He can do action. He can do drama. I'm surprised. It's not that he hasn't worked over the years and he hasn't popped up, but he never became that big of a superstar, and it surprises me that he didn't become a bigger star after this movie.
And I mean, especially if you look at the fact, and I've always kind of assumed this position watching this movie and another movie he's in. I'm like, I got to assume that this is kind of like a, Bob in American Graffiti to being cast as Han Solo. That where I'm going with this, Mike. I'm a big Mel Brooks fan. I mean, I got to assume that part of why he got cast in Robin Hood Men in Tights is because of this movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
definitely.
very similar. It's a very similar take on
Mhm.
the Robin Hood. And I know it was totally dump. Mel was totally dumping on, the Kevin Costner,
Yeah.
Bryan Adams, that's the Bryan Adams power ballad. And okay, now that I'm saying it, it's all stuck in our heads now.
Yes, it is.
You're
Thank you.
I
welcome.
tell you what,
Everything
as
I
a
do, I
as
do
a
it for
preteen, as a preteen during that time, he was it. He was the heartthrob, man. He's
Yeah.
the one all the girls
And-
wanted.
No,
And,
Carrie, I think, is the greatest Robin Hood. Like everything he does, and not just in Robin Hood Men in Tights, but in this movie,
Yeah.
he
Yes.
was the perfect Robin Hood.
Yep.
But
Yes, I mean-
let's also look at it from a movies of the year perspective, right? So you have Dirty Dancing. You
I
have
just watched that with my daughter too.
you have Some Kind of Wonderful. You have Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
You have La Bamba. You have Angel Heart. You have Good Morning Vietnam. Really, this was like the year this came out. You have Carrie Ells up against some of the longtime heartthrobs
Yeah.
of Hollywood. And to go to Three Men and a Baby, you have Steve Guttenberg, sure, but Tom Selleck and Ted Danson, who were TV heartthrobs at that point, right? You have Wall Street, which has Michael Douglas,
and Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
Martin, and Charlie Sheen.
Yep.
You have Moonstruck.
Young
It's-
Nick Cage.
Young Nick, snap
Young
out
Nick
of it.
Snap out of it.
But you have two young Nick Cages because you also have Raising Arizona.
Yeah, Raising
That's
Arizona.
right.
Yep.
So, but then you also have Mannequin.
She's
And
the
I know, like looking at this with hindsight being 2020, we're like, okay, some of these weren't fantastic, some of these weren't classics, but and some of them, most of them, honestly, don't reverberate the same way that The Princess Bride does. But really, when you're looking at things, how does Carrie Ells go from this to what, with the exception of, like, say, what Bill and Brad and I might, like, our little divergent social interaction in the horror scene, like with
he's in
Poison
Saw.
Ivy, things like that.
He's in Saw, right?
And
Saw, yep,
oh yeah,
the
he
first
was
Saw.
brilliant in Saw.
Yep. Yeah.
But it's you have Carrie Ells, who really could have been a heartthrob in the whole scheme of things, but he's going up against guys like Swayze, Gibson, the Sheens, and I say the
I'll
Sheens.
I'll leave
Emilio
it to
Estevez.
Spader.
Yeah.
I'll leave some of the movies we mentioned. I mean, yeah, Mannequin. Spader's in it. He plays a little weasel. Okay, that is personally one of my. I know, one of those, like, people say, what's your guilty pleasure favorite movie? Mannequin is one of my favorites.
Hey man, you can't go wrong. You can't
Mannequin's
go
up
wrong with
there.
Kim Cattrall. I mean, come on.
Well, yeah.
G.W. Bailey is the whole thing. Just at the end, was having a nervous breakdown. She's the dummy. I want my mama. I want my
But
mama.
But
yeah, you
even,
know, like Anthony, I mean, I don't know what he did after this, so it's interesting to see. I don't know what
Yeah.
he did right after The Princess Bride, so who knows? I mean, Carrie Elways might have been like, I'm an actor. He doesn't seem that way. I've seen him. I mean, you talked about Men in Tights and stuff like that. He was close. He's close, very close with Mel Brooks. He was close with. He stayed close. He seems like a good guy. He stayed close with Rob Reiner. So
Oh,
I don't know if
absolutely
he
did.
was. I am an actor.
He doesn't take himself. He never took himself
Yeah, he
too
doesn't take himself
seriously.
too seriously.
He
so I don't know.
did still do a lot of stage stuff. Like you can go through his IMDb, and he did a lot of stage productions because he likes stage acting. But again, like how can you compete with like Jason Patrick in The Lost Boys?
Lost Boys.
Nice circle back, right?
Yes.
And Kiefer Sutherland. You know, even then, The Untouchables. You have Kevin Costner, like he's
And No Way Out.
head.
And Gene Hackman in No Way Out. I mean, when Bellacissa said heartthrob, I thought she was going to say Wallace Shawn, as Vizzini was the
Inconceivable.
heartthrob of the movie.
Inconceivable!
I didn't know for years that Wallace Shawn was this respected actor and theater actor and all this kind of stuff. I was just like, that's Vizzini. Come on now.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here?
I'm looking at Carrie's IMDb. He did, right after Princess Bride, he did Glory, Days of Thunder, Hot Shots, The Crush.
Shots.
Was it The Crush?
Yep.
Oh, The Crush, man.
With Alicia Silverstone.
The Crush. Yeah, I have a story. I remember a friend of mine
Twister.
had a shore house, and me and the other friend who would stay down there with him, we went to go to sleep, and we could just hear in the other room the one part of The Crush being rewound all the time when Alicia Silverstone is on the swing going, "Hey Nick," and it would go, bloop, "Hey Nick, bloop, hey Nick." We were like, I don't want to know what's going on out there.
I worked at a movie theater when that movie came out. I hated it. just because I heard it so
Let
many
me mark off
times.
Bellacissa is not going to be on the Crush episode. Hold on.
Dude, that is not my
did the
favorite.
Same thing. Only it was Batman and Robin, and she's like in the tight leather. I was 10. Leave me alone, okay?
Let's see what else he was in. Twister.
We've so far added perfect
Seinfeld.
count 1.
Cradle Will Rock. Y'all remember
The
that?
Cradle Will Rock is a phenomenal.
Wasn't he the milquetoast boyfriend and liar liar, like the wimpy kind of, you know?
Oh, I think he was, wasn't he? I mean,
He was.
He worked consistently. It was
And he
just that
still does.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
still does. He became kind of like that guy.
Just
Yes.
recently, he's been in Mission Impossible.
He was the slime ball mayor in Stranger Things. I remember one of the seasons of Stranger Things. He was like the slime ball mayor of Hawkins.
You know who he reminds me of a lot. Thinking about it now, he's what Bradley Cooper is.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the guy
Yeah.
who should be the leading guy, but doesn't mind taking these much smaller roles. That doesn't mind taking the back seat, and he's a character actor in a leading man's body.
And I think a lot of the people in this, and I think that's why it's so good. Even Mandy Patinkin, who has had a long career and a distinguished career, he never became this big time superstar.
Yeah.
But I think
But
that's
everyone
why
knows him.
and everybody, but I think that's why this movie works, is that it's all of these talented character actors who buy into their roles,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
and that's what makes it work. None of them are winking at the camera and saying like, like, you know, come on, like we're kind of taking the piss out of this a little bit.
Yeah.
They can do it because none of them make it so obvious.
Yeah.
I always think with
and
Mandy,
it's the type. Oh, you got it.
Mandy's the and guy. You know, you see in the credits and the star, and
Yep.
him. You know, he's that guy that's always like considered one of the heavy hitters. So he always gets the and at the end.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's one of those movies that, with a different cast, it would have been that movie that winks at the audience, that says, okay, this is the joke and this is where we're going, but it never takes that at all.
Yeah.
But even when we were discussing the fact it was Chris Reeve as Wesley, I mean, if you look, I mean, the funny thing is, Chris Reeve, two things. One, he went to Juilliard, and two, do you know who his roommate at Juilliard was?
Robin Williams.
Robin Williams.
That's wild.
There's a mismatch set if we ever saw one.
And
And
they became best friends for life,
Yeah.
literally.
best friends
Seeing
for
him
life.
and I'm going to date myself here, or maybe I won't. I don't know. Seeing him in the Disney series Anne of Green Gables,
I remember
his
that.
ability to have an epic freakout makes total sense that his roommate was Robin Williams.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I understand. I think Bellacissa or a bunch of guys were like, no, no, no. Yeah, he would look the part too much. I mean, it's funny because Carrie Elways does look the part, but then with the dry humor that he is doing, he totally subverts what the role should be. And no, I can't see, because famously a couple years ago they did bring up, it was tossed out there that maybe we'll remake The Princess Bride. It is not moved forward, thankfully. And I
No.
don't think it can be
There
remade.
is. You
And
say that.
I don't think I know, I say it, and who knows, but
No, I'm saying on IMDb.
Oh,
His
okay.
IMDb. Home movie The Princess Bride. Serialized remake of The Princess Bride told in short chapters featuring celebrities at home during quarantine.
yeah, that was no, but they did it. They were doing readings of it, and
Yeah.
a bunch of other people did it. But
Yeah.
I don't think they could ever. I
No.
don't think it can ever be. There would be.
You could never reboot it.
But
There
I
would
mean,
be. You think January 6th was bad? If they
Oh,
announced
geez.
that The Princess Bride is being remade, we riot.
Yes.
No, yeah, no. Well, and
Definitely.
again, I think if you're looking at it from that perspective, there are some things that are untouchable, right? You don't remake Citizen Kane. You
Maltese
don't
Falcon,
remake Gone with the
Casablanca.
Wind. You don't remake The Princess Bride.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 'cause
And I get that, and I say this as someone who is a consumer of a lot of fringe media and a lot of fringe entertainment, shall we say? Not, but like you're not finding a Dungeon Crawler Carl series or movie being made. Shout out Matt Denneman. Uh, you're also not, but you're there's no original ideas in Hollywood, but even then there are things that are considered sacrosanct.
Yeah, I think this would be one of them. And it's just, everybody talks about when you bring together a cast, a director, a writer, that it's lightning in a bottle, but it really is. I mean, William Goldman wrote the book, and he said he wrote it because he wanted to write something for his two daughters. He wanted to write a fairy tale for his two daughters. And William Goldman, famously one of the greatest screenwriters ever, Butch Cassidy, All the President's Men, wrote this. It was immediately bought up, and people were trying to make it from the early 70s. Could never get it made. It had been optioned, fell through. He actually bought back the rights because he wanted to have the rights. Rob Reiner, when he did Stand By Me, when he did Spinal Tap, and when he did The Sure Thing, they saw that he was a bankable director, and they said to him, what do you want to do? His father, Carl Reiner, had given him the book years ago and said, this is a really good book. I think you'll enjoy it. When he got that clout, he went to the studio and said, I want to make The Princess Bride. And they said to him, we've tried. We've been trying for 10, 15 years, and we have not been able to make it. Went and talked to William Goldman, said to him, you write the screenplay. And William Goldman has said he had written it and rewritten it hundreds of times. Maybe not hundreds, but you know what I mean, 10, 20, 30 times. Because he was unsure of himself. He didn't think, and he wrote the book, but didn't think that he would be able to write the screenplay that would be able to be made. Didn't think he would find the right director. And famous directors had tried. There had been named directors who wanted to do it. And then it just, they for whatever reason, they could not crack it. And Rob Reiner, Rob Reiner, rest in peace, just a couple of months ago passed away. But you look back, I mean, the man was on a heater from the early 80s into the early 90s. He could do no wrong. He was making mass entertainment that was actually good and was popular. And this was at the beginnings of him doing that with right after Stand By Me. And yes, this was not a hit, but we're going to wax The Princess Bride's car all night because it's such a classic movie and we all love it. But I don't know, after seeing now, years later, we've seen Rob Reiner's filmography. I don't know if there could have been a better person who was able to balance the fantasy, the storybook, the comedy, the parody that's there, and make it work and not have one tone overtake the other. Because I think that's what he had to balance, and he was able to balance it.
Well, the two you think of for the 80s are Rob Reiner and John Hughes. I mean, they made the 80s. And some of John Hughes' movies are the same way. You could not remake The Breakfast Club. You could not remake Pretty in Pink. You could none of those movies would work today. It worked at that time with those people.
Now, to be fair, and I have to throw my Letterkenny reference, to be fair, in here, right? To be fair, they tried with a lot of what John Hughes did.
Yeah.
My Uncle Buck, the TV show. Hashtag we something we've been discussing. Mike.
Kevin Meaney.
Yep. Home Alone. How many direct to video were there?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a special guest.
A delivery.
Hi.
But it's not just that. I'd like to kind of circle back to the discussion on Chris Reeve versus Carrie Elwes.
Which part?
Chris Reeves was potentially wanting to be Wesley originally.
Oh.
How would your thought be
No.
No.
Yes.
No.
The ladies agree. No.
I don't know. That would not work. Did you talk about Schwarzenegger though?
What else Schwarzenegger? What
He was gonna be the original Andre.
He was, he was up for
this. Yes. I did not know.
He was thought of.
She's more of an expert than I am.
Bring in the significant other. Sit in that chair. She was thought
Tag
of.
out.
Yeah, he was thought of originally. They were. Come and join us. We're gonna have. We already have 4 people here. What's 4 guests? Why not 5?
We already have 4 people. May as well get another one. Go.
Yeah. Yes, he was.
Everyone, this is my significant other.
The lighting is horrible.
I know.
We discussed that.
Didn't I bring that up in the beginning?
Oh yeah. No, but because there was a very large delay in production. Like it was written in the 70s, early 70s. Yeah. They couldn't actually make it because nobody would actually take it on. Yep. And the original thought was Arnold Schwarzenegger for Andre's character.
Yeah.
But because...
And then he got too big, so then...
They could not afford him once they actually got to the point of production. So it was Andre.
And
that's another... deal with all of his physical issues and all that.
And it's a great story when he talks about... He says making The Princess Bride was one of the happiest times in his life because nobody looked at him as a weirdo or a freak. He was just another part of the company, and he didn't feel... He didn't feel as he had felt his whole life because he was always, the one who stood out so much. And they said after the fact that he was in a lot of pain during that movie.
Yeah.
But he was still really, it was just such a great experience. And everybody I've watched the Andre the Giant documentary, but everybody involved in the making of The Princess Bride said he was one of the kindest people in the world. He was so fun to work with. And I don't think it would be as magical a movie if it was Arnold Schwarzenegger, even in the 70s Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's just Andre, and he was nervous, Andre the Giant, because he said the dialogue, his accent was so thick that he was worried that people weren't going to be able to understand him. But his aura in that movie just adds to the overall experience.
Rob Reiner worked with him and he's from what I read, he worked with him as far as like he literally spoke the words, so Andre would know how to do it, and Andre researched and like kept listening to it over and over to be able to actually speak that part.
Well, in Brad, I know you'll know as much of a wrestling geek as we both are. Like Andre could cut a promo like
Yeah.
nobody's business, but given a script, it's very difficult for him. And at that point, you're talking about 87 when his knees were basically gravel. He was still growing because he had a tumor that was pushing up against his pituitary gland. Rob Reiner intentionally framed shots with Andre to where he had something he could lean on. And especially getting into like 88, 89, 90, when you're looking at Andre within wrestling organizations, whether it's New Japan Pro Wrestling or it's the WWF at the time, or even like when he would make the various European independent promotions, he was using two like arm brace canes,
Hmm.
you know, but one of the most moving things I ever saw when you're talking about Andre was like Robin Wright talking about it would be rainy and shitty weather, and Andre would just put his hand over her head because it was so large and it was like an umbrella. And he'd be like, "You okay, lady?"
You think about watching it again, and you know, when you do podcasts, you watch a movie or you read whatever you're going to read, and you're being even more cognizant of what you're taking in. So I'm watching it. There's such an economy of dialogue for him. I mean, he doesn't have that much to say, but it's just his presence in the movie
Yeah.
and what he brings
You
to
are
it.
the brute force.
Well,
Yeah.
watching
You are
it this
You are
time,
the brute force.
Yeah.
watching
Yeah,
it this
the brute
time,
force.
the scene where he's wrestling with Carrie, listening to it now, I get it. When he starts saying, it's usually me and 6 guys, you know, and I'm like, oh my God, that's what they did in wrestling for him.
Yes.
That was what
Yeah.
he did.
Yeah.
So
That never
and-
occurred to me before this time watching it. So
Yeah.
And every year, even like the WWE still puts out, and it's for I'm going to say something that's going to pop Brad, even if it's for Saudi blood money. Yes, got him to pop. But there's still always the Andre the Giant Invitational, which is and yes, it's wrestling. We know it's all scripted. It's fine. It's scripted, not fake. Scripted. Don't come after me, Matt Bourne. But you know, it's his impact on the business in both sports entertainment, professional wrestling, and acting.
Yeah. I mean, because he
is-
was, as much as Hulk Hogan, and I'm talking, you guys know better than me, I mean, Anthony and Brad, but as much as Hulk Hogan was the face of wrestling, you know, he was making Suburban Commando, for God's sakes. It's not like he doesn't have a Princess Bride on his resume.
Yeah.
He doesn't
No,
have,
he does not.
and no matter what, Andre the Giant might not be the lead in the Princess Bride, but you think of the Princess Bride and you think of Andre the Giant. He's thought of in the same, he's still thought of with the movie. That
I have
he's
such
part
a-
of what he's part of what makes the movie special is because he's in it.
I have such a soft spot for him because my son is 6'9", and we jokingly call him Hagrid. Like, he's got the long hair, he's got the long beard, he's huge. He wears
Bring
size
him in
18
here
shoes.
too. We're getting Anthony's significant other. We're getting Bill's mom. Bring your son in. Brad, take somebody off the street. You can get your
I
daughter.
don't
in.
think-
No,
I don't
I'll
think
go.
your son would
I'll
fit
go
in
wake
the
my
picture.
daughter up. Yeah,
Wake your
I'll go wake my
daughter
daughter.
I'll bring in the cats, you know. But yeah, so I've always kind of had a soft spot for him just because of my son.
Yeah.
You know, it's he's just the big guy in the room, always has
Yeah.
been.
And Manny
Uh,
Patinkin talked about it, that he was nervous that he was going to have to, because they have to have a relationship.
Yeah.
And Manny Patinkin's this classically trained stage actor, and he's working with Andre the Giant. But he said he went early to meet him and kind of get there and their dialogue, they have to work together.
yeah.
And you buy their relationship. And that's one
Yeah,
of
like,
the
yeah.
if Wesley and Buttercup's relationship is the number one in the movie,
I mean,
Fezzik
you look
and
at you look at them on the ship, and they're doing the joke, and which has the punchline, anybody want a peanut, and they're going back and forth. And I mean, you look at like the stuff that Andre does. I mean, he does, his comedy timing is impeccable.
Mhm.
The whole I'm gonna call the Brute Squad. I'm on the Brute Squad. You are the Brute Squad. That it's hilarious. When he's just everything he does is just so funny, but he's also incredibly sweet. At the end when he gets the horses, and he's like, oh, and I even got a horse in case we ran into the lady. Hello, lady.
Hello,
yes,
lady.
I'm not gonna lie. I watched this with my daughter. We had watched this like 6 years ago during COVID, and she was young. She was about 5. So she didn't even remember it. So I said, I have to rewatch this. I want to watch it
Yeah.
with her and see how she reacts to it. And I said to her at the end when that scene came up, because she loved it. And I said to her, I'm gonna cry, because at the end when he comes with those horses,
Yeah.
and they look at, and because it's the whole denouement of everything. It's
Yeah.
they all got what they wanted, and
Mhm.
when he
Yep.
comes up with those horses again, that's you realize it's a fairy tale. So they all lived happily ever after. But when he says, Fezzik, you finally did something right, and he says, don't worry, I won't let it go to my head, and she jumps down and he catches her, and he does when he says, hello, lady. It's just it's an amazing ending. And yeah,
Yeah.
I'm man enough to admit, yes, it brings a tear to my
And
eye every time I watch it.
and there's a great part to that. Like, there's a great story to that scene. Like, the intent was that they would lower Robin Wright down on wire, so that way it's not a strain on Andre, because he was very much like, I think in 1989 he ended up having the tumor removed from his head, which was causing him to continue to have the giantism problems. But they wanted to make sure that everything was good for Andre.
Back
It,
issues.
his back, his knees, and again, it doesn't matter. Like, for everyone, spine on the pine
Hmm.
takes years off your life. It doesn't matter if you're Hulk Hogan, John Cena, Andre the Giant. As scripted as it is, professional wrestling
Oh,
is
yeah,
a very, very tough profession.
Oh, it's a beating. Absolutely.
But they were like, okay, well, we're gonna lower Robin on wires, and he's like, no, just have her jump from like 7 feet up. I can catch her. They're like, but it's Rob, but you'll have to catch a whole human. He's like, I work for the
And?
WWF. Like,
It's kind of what
she
I do.
weighs like 90 pounds. It will be fine. Trust me. And they had one shot. They took, for the long distance, they had her jump onto a crash pad. But then, like, the final scene, it's literally probably the last time he was able to catch someone, which is really kind of cool, right? I mean, like, have that memorable scene where he's like, here you go, you're on your horse.
And I
Well,
want to
they
get
have
back.
done
I want to get back to, because we still haven't talked about so many of the other characters and the actors, but Peter Falk and Fred Savage, you don't buy the movie if you don't have that relationship. And again, I keep bringing it up that now, as you get older, I identify more with Peter Falk now as a parent. And you see it when you walk in there. And Fred Savage, I think, is great.
That's
he is the
baby
per-
Fred Savage.
It's baby Fred, but he's the perfect
is baby
because I see it with now my son's 14, but I see it with him. If I walked in there and said, "Oh, we're gonna read a story," and and that's what's great about this movie, and it's how subversive it is when they start reading it, and it's what 5 minutes in when they go to kiss, and he says, "Wait a minute, wait, is this a kissing book?"
Yeah, please stop. No, we don't want that's gross.
And of course, the line, it's like, "Yes, you're very smart. Shut up."
Yeah.
And like I said, we've been going back and forth, and the point I wanted to make was, I think this is what made Reiner as a director the right man for the job. Because if you look at a lot of Reiner's movies after this, and even before this, the one key part Reiner has in a lot of his movies, and I think he's one of the few directors that understand this, is, and I'm going to say it, and if you guys don't understand, fine, but I think you guys are going to follow me here. Interpersonal relationships. He's one of the few directors out there that get interpersonal relationships, that know not everybody's warm and sunny to one another. Okay, I'll give you a great example, like kind of the disorganized chaos of a youth and Stand By Me, to one of my favorite movies. I don't know if it's one of yours, but one of my favorite Reiner movies is The American President, because there is so many funny lines that just happen, like at the end where they have to like totally change the way it's like Michael J. Fox. It's the when Martin Sheen just deadpants. If anybody needs me, I'll be in the Roosevelt room giving Lewis oxygen. To well, gee, I can ask her after. Do you think she likes me? I don't know, sir. Maybe I can ask her during study hall. Just some of the interpersonal, relationships, and Harry Met Sally. Lovers,
But
friends becoming lovers. And
yes.
I got news for you. I never had a girl. I never was on a date with a girl, and she had an orgasm in the middle of Katz's Deli. But I have had more than a fair share of female friends call me on my shit on a regular basis. Just like that. And I'm saying I think that's what makes Reiner the right director. That he shows the love of Wesley and Buttercup, but there's also the other relationships, like Fezzik and Ignacio Montoya with Waller Shawn's character. It's like, this guy pays us, but given the first opportunity, I toss him out the airlock. And you can tell these guys. You can tell, like, Andre the Giant. He's the one keeping Andre the Giant from doing a full Emperor Palpatine, down the reactor chute with.
Yeah, but Vizzini was right. You do never get involved in a land war in Europe.
That's right.
In Asia.
In Asia, I'm sorry.
In Asia.
In Asia, yes, in Asia. I'm sorry.
That is the truth. I'm just saying.
I lived in
everybody from
Asia.
Alexander the Great to now.
No, but you're right. I mean, it's a movie that depends on its interpersonal relationships, from the grandfather and his grandson to
Right.
Wesley and Buttercup to Inigo Montoya and Fezzik.
And his father.
Yeah. So
And you
it
can tell
has
why
to
he-
work.
Exactly. Bella, you're right. That his father.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, my father was a simple swordsmith, and it's not like, oh, gee, it's like, okay, I crafted him a custom sword, and he's like, and
It's great, but it's great though.
Even
Again,
then,
I mean,
you can take one of the smallest interactions that's
Yeah.
in the film. Prince Humperdinck's father
Yep.
yeah.
with Princess Buttercup.
I know it's
Yep.
it's a great
Yep,
line.
it's
Such a great,
that you've always been so kind to me, and he runs off. She kissed me.
Well, she says, "You've always been kind to me, and I just wanted you to know I'm going to go back to my room and kill myself."
And kill myself.
Oh, that's
yeah.
nice.
Oh, that's nice.
That's nice.
That's all that matters.
And then
yeah.
he says,
But
"She kissed me."
Yeah, I mean
But
you look at it, the dialogue in this. I mean, it's great, it's snappy, but it's also real. I mean,
yes,
these are characters, but they feel so real. I mean, even looking
Yeah.
at Billy Crystal and Carol Kane, it's a small
Yeah, how
part,
can
but
not marry
you buy them as this old married couple. It's
Yes.
so
Like my
amazing.
grandparents.
Get out, witch!
so
I'm not a witch. I'm your
so
wife.
Shut up,
I'm
witch!
not a witch. I'm your wife.
what's funny is
Liar!
Liar!
And that's the
What's
only. You know what I
funny
will
is
say. I will
that
say that's the
Carol
only part.
Kane-
I will say though that's the only part. And I'm not. I love Billy Crystal. I grew up. This was right in the middle of him coming off Saturday Night Live, and that was one of the first seasons. I was old enough to like really watch on my own, so I was like, Running Scared is one of my favorite movies. I love him in the role. The only line that I don't buy is the one where he says it's not the BLT, but what's he call it?
Oh, the
MLT.
mutton
A
lettuce.
bacon.
lettuce.
It's the only because he's it's too it falls too much into Billy Crystal. It doesn't ruin it, but it's like okay, Billy, you needed to
Okay,
get your
so
little.
here's the backstory is they did Rob Reiner said to Billy Crystal, you go and do your whatever.
Forget the lines.
Forget the
Yeah,
lines.
okay.
Do
It was
your
supposed
thing.
to be a 2-minute scene,
Yeah. Or a 5-minute, yes.
and it took
3 days, 10-hour days. 30 hours of film that we have not seen from these people.
They have behind the scenes stuff, and it
Oh,
shows
so
him
much.
filming, and it shows them laughing while he's just
Yeah.
riffing. So I'm
So
sure there's
Mandy
hours.
Patinkin.
I'm sure there's hours and hours of him, and it's not. I love Billy Crystal. He's a national treasure. I'm not ripping Billy Crystal. That's the only line that it's like, all right, it's very Billy Crystal, but it doesn't ruin it. It doesn't take me out of it.
Well,
But
it's also
Okay, good.
very
Because there's parts that from his ad lib that are way more offensive that did not make the movie.
like, have you checked his pants? Is he a moil?
I mean, he went very. I mean, him and Reiner. I mean, look at Rob Reiner's friend, Carl Reiner. I mean, Carl Reiner, Mel Brooks got their start, in the Catskills, in the Borscht Belt, and that
Yeah.
a lot of that's and Carol, and Carol Kane kind of exemplified it in Taxi as well,
Yep.
and Mrs. Gravis. They kind of did that kind of, her and Madeline Kahn were very good at what I call and again, for your Yiddish-speaking members of the audience, the Zotfig type of person, Zotfig humor, her and
that's
Madeline
essentially
Kahn.
what he did for
Yeah.
the 3 days was
Yeah.
made Yiddish jokes
like to
for
a point
3 days.
to a point that Mandy Patinkin, like, the only injury he had on set,
yeah,
He bruised his ribs
trying not to laugh.
trying not to laugh. Yeah.
during these 3 days. Like,
Yep.
how could we not? Like,
And I
just
mean, him and I mean, one thing I miss, and I always loved watching them all when they did him and Williams and Whoopi Goldberg
And Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi get comic relief, and she was kind of the referee because if you ever noticed, him and Crystal would just go off. And Whoopi would just be like, boys, we need to come back to Earth now. Like, come on.
rein him in.
Bring
Yeah.
him in.
But I think that's, again, that really kind of brings in, if you want to discuss, like she just said, like, Reiner was an actor's director, right?
Yes.
As someone who, his dad is one of the world-renowned writers, and he was like, no, you've got to earn your own way. So what does he do? He's Mike Stivic. He's Meathead. Meathead.
Yeah.
But like, he learns what an actor needs, and you can see that in Reiner's films, whether it's Spinal Tap, whether it's The Princess Bride. He wants people to bring realism to what it is, but he also knew how to cast a film with people who could bring realism, to the point of where, like, Billy Crystal and Carol Kane, which Carol Kane is one of my favorite actresses.
Carol Kane's
one of
very
my
underrated.
favorites,
Carol
too.
Kane is underrated and not
Agreed.
talked about that
all-
much now. Yeah.
Brilliant.
all I have to say is, "Oh, it's a toaster."
We're talking about Billy Crystal and Carol Kane, where I think that's in the movie. That's like the height of they're going for it. Whereas you have Chris Sarandon and you have Christopher Guest who are underplaying it
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
Oh, by
perfection.
far.
To perfection.
By far.
Yes.
Chris Guest, everybody knows him now as a director, as Count Rugen. Great villain.
Yeah.
And I don't know about
Yeah.
you, watching it again, do you kind of get? I was getting the vibe that Count Rugen and Chris Sarandon were together.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
So
I don't
Chris
know. The
Sarandon
last
has
time I watched it,
spoken
I'm
on
like,
that.
is there an unspoken kind of either
There
attraction
was-
or
Well, I
relationship here?
definitely got a Count de Money and Count Bernays feeling. Don't get saucy with me, Bernays.
But what's the
Yeah, no.
line? What's Chris Sarandon's line where he says, when he says, just think of me, I'm planning to have my wife killed. I'm trying to start a war. I'm trying to rule the world. Well, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything.
And I can't think
Yeah.
of the actor that played him, but he had a very Chris Sarandon in that role. I could look it up on IMDb, but he was the same actor, and Brooks used the producers as Count Bernays, and I can't think of the actor's name, but he always had that. He had that very similar delivery of Chris Sarandon in this movie. That very like where he hands where they go to see the director, Zerma Stell and Gene Wilder. They go to see the director, and he has that kind of deadpan, hello, like.
I think it's a really when they say show don't tell, and you could tell from the first time you see him as he's and I'm doing the air quotes, tracking them, and he's
Mhm.
making a big show of showing all of his basically henchmen that yes, I know what's
Yeah.
going on and I can track them and that
He's a hyperbole.
it just
of-
it tells you that he's insecure. You know that he
No.
needs to show that
Yeah.
I know I can do this. I can.
Yeah, and
I am a
and
princess.
Chris-
MAGA. Sorry.
And Chris Sarandon
Hmm.
is so I think he, like you said, he's understated, but you look at him and he's like, this is the guy. He was in Dog Day Afternoon.
Yeah.
He's he was in all these roles that he's done horror movies where he's more the straight guy.
Fight Night.
Fright Night. He's not making it. It's not like a comedic horror or anything. So he's not playing like that type of role. He's the straight horror guy. And then he's jumping into something like this, and it's like the genre is so different, but he takes it on so seriously, and it works
And
so
it's-
incredibly well.
Again, he plays it so straight and so deadpan that at the
Yeah.
end when Wesley gets up, and that's another great scene.
Yeah.
And watching it again, I'm sitting here as a 51-year-old and I'm like, I can't believe that I'm actually getting up. Like I'm going to cheer for that scene when
Yeah.
Wesley gets up out of the bed when he can finally move. But Reiner
Still
knows
goosebump- it's
knows how to
still
balance
goosebump-worthy.
that heroic type of scene
Yeah.
with when he says to him, "Sit down,"
Sit
and he
down. Yeah,
pulls his,
just sits
he
right
pulls-
down.
He pulls his little skirt that he's wearing and sits down.
Just
Well,
sits right down.
and it's funny you mentioned that because going into this podcast, we rewatched it 4 days ago
Yeah.
while playing darts, which is at this point Mike knows it's our thing. But oh, we're doing a podcast. Okay, well, let's play darts and watch the movie or watch the show.
Glad I can help you start a new tradition.
Yeah, well,
No.
but
It's either that or music. So
it is her throw, and Wesley goes, "Sit down," and she stops and goes and fist pumps through the whole
Yeah, I
thing.
watched it. I watched it a few weeks ago. I mentioned with my daughter. We had watched it. I think last year was the first time I showed it to her, and she enjoyed it. And she had rewatched it again. She didn't really remember everything, but at that scene, she was like, "Wait, how did he get up there?" Because he's being carried around, and I was like, "Just watch. You'll remember." And then when he gets up, and she was like, "He's up. he's up, and she was like
Yeah.
cheering on him and everything. It's such a great,
But
a
even
great,
that,
great moment.
it's undercut with him then falling in later, where he's like,
Yeah.
"Ah."
He's like,
Yeah.
That
Holly-
whole scene, that set of scenes, honestly reminds me of Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Oh,
It-
yeah.
Yeah,
It's just like it's a parallel
Definitely
to Monty
inspired
Python.
by
Oh, you mean this key?
But I mean, again, you throw all of these things together, and then you throw in the fact, and again, I'm going to be just a slight case of the morbs here, right? So, Rob Reiner's godfather is Mel Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So having one Carl Reiner as your dad, Norman Lear as the director that you took cues from,
Yep.
Mel Brooks as your dad's best friend who is coming around and teaching you the concept of comedic timing, teaching you the concept of less is more. And like Bill said, that Borscht Belt, you know, verklempt style of comedy.
no pressure.
And just remember to wait 15 minutes before swimming.
Just remember to wait 15 minutes before.
Well, like I
But
said
it-
before,
it
it kind
have
of
a
seemed
chance
like
and
That
take a
like Carol
miracle.
Kane and
Bye-bye.
Have fun storming the castle.
Yes.
You think they'll win? No, it'll take a miracle.
It'll take a miracle.
you know, I said earlier that it kind of seemed like Shrek. It's almost like Shrek meets Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
it's a good combo, you know.
Yeah.
And that's another
Well, I
reason
mean,
why they
like-
couldn't remake it. That you couldn't in today's mentality. We all watched this when we were, well, some of us anyway, watched it when we were
Mhm.
10, 11, 12, 13. But then another generation discovers it when they're 10, 11, 12, 13. And I don't want to sound like that, but oh, these kids today. But I don't think you could make that type of movie with Mel Brooks was able to make movies because you're saying, I do. I think Rob Reiner took all of this in because he was around all of these
Mhm.
people. And Mel Gibson was able to make Mel Brooks.
Oh
Wrong
my-
Mel.
That was a Freudian slip. Mel Brooks was able
Mel
to.
Gibson and
Oh,
the
no.
Jews. Good job, Mike.
I'm talking about Jewish people and I say Mel Gibson. What the? Mel Brooks was able to make these movies that, yes, my parents enjoyed when they were in their 20s and 30s when they came out. But then I enjoyed when I was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, not even getting half the jokes.
Yeah.
And then 10 years later, rewatching and saying, oh, that's what that means. That's why the
now
mayor.
I get it.
That's why the
It's
mayor was
timeless.
hanging out with that young lady. That's why they were talking about knockers in Young Frankenstein.
So and like and again, it's a very it's definitely a segue, but like. And like Bill and Mike are fully aware of the fact that I'm a very reformed Catholic. You know, I sleep till like noon on Sundays.
Can't believe you didn't go to church today on Palm Sunday of any Sunday.
I
Well,
didn't
you know, I'm
go.
only obligated for 2, right? Which is a lie. There's like 7 holy days of obligation. But my dad, like his high school was like a stepping stone to the priesthood. My uncle is a Franciscan. Like he went beyond the priesthood to like, no, this is my life. Like we went to he had his golden anniversary 2 years ago of taking holy orders, and we went to that. So my family is very Catholic, and being a very reformed Catholic, that creates strife in a Catholic family. But the one thing that my dad and I have in common is ridiculous slapstick movies. So Mel Brooks, Carl Reiner, I have not seen my dad form tears from laughing outside of things like Spaceballs, outside of things like Spinal Tap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like that's like for my dad, who's a very, very conservative Catholic, but he also practices what he preaches. And myself, who is you may as well brand a upside down anarchy symbol everywhere I go. That's one thing that we have in common. So like this film is another bridging of that gap, and you also throw in the fact that even though I am in the younger quadrant of everyone here, I think I'm the only one that might have grandkids.
Oof. Yeah, not yet. I haven't crossed that threshold
But
yet.
Yeah,
I
I hear
won't.
you. No, thank you.
But-
Not.
for me, this movie is a layering of multiple love stories, right? You have Inigo and Fizzing. It's a platonic love. You have Wesley and Buttercup, which is a romantic love.
That's the straight line point of the story.
But
Then they got the sprinklings of all those
Yes.
side loves
exactly.
or friendships. Yeah.
But you then have Humperdinck and Buttercup, which is an abusive love.
Mm-hmm.
To power love.
But at the end of the day, the overarching storyline is that of the paternal love, right? It's the whole story is the story, but the bookends are a grandfather wanting to give his grandson, his grandkid,
A story.
those things that he had when he was a kid.
And he says it. He says it in the beginning. I read this to your dad, and now I'm going to read it to you. I'm sure. And Brad, I could say it to you and Bellacissa and Anthony. Then, it hits a little bit differently when you have kids. And, that's why I sit and watch movies like this with my kids or watch Star Wars with my kids. Because I will say to them, oh, you know what? Me and Pop, we went and saw this. I've gone to the movies and seen re-releases of Superman with, we keep bringing Christopher Reeve up in this episode, but go to see the original Superman with my son and my dad and say, oh, I used to watch it with Pop. Now we're going to watch it together. And you better like it or you're disowned. No, I don't.
Well, here's
Meanwhile,
the thing.
I'm watching Daz Games with my son, so
Yeah, but it
y'all
doesn't.
don't know who that is.
But it doesn't matter like anything. There's always going
Yeah.
to be stuff that like span like when
But-
you become a parent, that's what you want your kids. I don't want to speak for everybody else, but I know that for me, I couldn't wait till my kids got older because I wanted to share this. I'm not gonna lie, this movie, and this movie might not be in my top 10, but it's still a movie that reminds me of my childhood that I love.
Yeah.
And I would say to my wife, I can't wait till they get old enough to appreciate this because I want to watch
Yep.
it with them and see what they think of this. And sitting watching with my daughter and her kind of not that she didn't want to watch it, but almost having that same reaction as Fred Savage, where she's saying to me, well, what's going to happen? The part with the lady, boo, queen of
Boo.
slime. And she's like, wait a minute, why did they get married? They can't get married.
My,
because this
my
isn't-
daughter said this. My
yeah,
daughter
they're
said
not
the
supposed
same
to get
exact thing.
married. They're,
Yeah.
Wesley. So it's
Not true love.
My son's a little older than your kids. He's 24.
right.
And so luckily for me, he has a lot of the same interests that I do. He loves MASH. Like he's a 24-year-old kid that loves
That's-
MASH. He's
that's
basically
some-
Anthony.
That's
You
some good. That's some good. That's some good parenting right there.
Yeah, he loves MASH. He loves Grey's Anatomy. He loves, things you would never think a 24-year-old guy would be into, and he loves them. So
Yeah.
it's
That's awesome.
very nice for us.
Great.
You know?
When I started doing when I started doing the movies with my daughter a couple years ago, there was a list of movies that I'm like, all right, eventually maybe I'll get to these, but there were certain ones
Dario
that I was like,
Argento.
yeah, there were certain ones. This one, Lost Boys, Stand by Me. I was like, these are the ones I have to make sure that she sees.
Oh, Ferris Bueller's Day Off,
Oh.
The Breakfast Club. We watched those
Yeah.
when my son was probably 8 or 9 for the first time, and
Yeah.
he still loves them.
And
So
you know
yeah,
what though?
I influenced him a little
The
bit.
thing about this
Still
movie,
in core memories.
Yeah.
yeah. And the thing about this movie is, we're talking about when Wesley stands from the bed. I mean, the other one of, if not the most famous scene from the movie, "My name is Inigo Montoya. You
Montoya.
killed
Yeah.
my
Killed
father,
my
prepare to
father,
die."
prepare to
My
die.
daughter knew that already.
Yeah.
Because it's there in pop culture. It's just out
Yeah.
there. It's like
Yep.
us being kids and knowing, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn," or something like that.
Yeah.
You might not know
Yes.
exactly where it came
Yeah.
from, but you know
Holy
it's.
rusted metal, Batman.
Oh God. Hey, listen, I like that
Missed
movie,
it
but
by that much.
Yeah.
but I think "My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to
Yeah.
die" has entered the pantheon of those type of catchphrases that people,
Yep.
even people who don't know what it's from, they know that is a famous quote.
Or
Yeah.
you keep using that word. I do not think it means
Yes.
what you
Yeah.
think it means.
Inconceivable.
Yeah, I mean they have T-shirts, where it's the white shirt and it has like the little name tag on it. It says "Hello, my name is," and underneath Inigo Montoya.
Yeah.
And my daughter, at that part when he
Sorry.
runs
You're
into
fine.
when he runs into that to the room and Count Rugen throws the knife at him and it stabs him. My daughter looked at me and said, "Oh, Dad, he's not going to die, is he?" Because she was like, he has to get revenge for his father.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They got her buy-in, and that's the
Yep.
whole point of the
Yeah.
movie, right?
Well, and then you throw in like Mandy Patinkin's emotional state at that point. Like
Yeah.
he had just lost his father to
Yeah.
cancer,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And
That is a great line too. That when he slashes his face and he reads him, he knows that he's
Mhm.
that Rugen at
Yeah.
his root is a coward and says, "I'll
Yeah.
give you anything," and then stabs him and says, "I want my father back, you
father
son
back,
of a
you
bitch."
son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And that hits after losing a parent or losing anyone, but
And he
it's a
had
great
just-
line. Yeah.
Yeah, and it hits even harder because the whole thing, you're the whole movie, you're laughing, you're having a great time, and then it's just that one line is just so intense. And when he says that, it's like,
just
I want my father, and it's like, wow, it just hits you.
Yeah, it was heavy.
Yeah, but it was the appropriate amount of heavy.
Yeah,
And we
When
got
it was
we all
needed.
got our revenge
yeah,
Yeah.
as well.
Like any of us who have lost anything, we can
yeah,
relate
Oh yeah.
to Inigo in that point. I want my father back, you son of a bitch.
Mhm.
I want
Yeah.
my mother back, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I want my
XY, whatever.
fellow Marine back,
Yeah.
you son of a bitch.
yeah.
Yep.
Because we
yeah.
can-
And
And-
it establishes
just,
them as a character with somebody who's going to
yeah.
say, "I'll give you anything," because he's
Yeah.
thinking, "Well, I'll give you money. You'll take money."
Yeah,
And that's when he
and
says,
he
"I
wants
want
the
my
one
father
thing
back."
he, the one thing he can't give him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to circle back quickly, what you were saying, Mike, similar to my daughter had a lot of the similar responses that yours did, but like it's also similar to, I guess, the Fred Savage character, like where he starts off in the beginning and he doesn't want to hear the story and the kissing and anything, and then by the end, both of our daughters are into it, and Fred Savage, his grandfather's like, "Oh, they're kissing again." It's like, "No, I want to hear it
I'm
now."
okay with the kissing.
yeah, I'm okay with it now.
Yeah.
So it's like
Or-
they're going on this journey, and you're seeing it through their eyes and his eyes, and it's almost like seeing it together in the movie. So
Yep.
Well, in
Yeah.
that
Going
last
back on
line
your
of
point.
like, Grandpa, if you want to come back tomorrow and read me the story.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like and like that's
as you wish.
Yeah.
exactly. And it's I send my oldest grandkid is 12 next month. I send her music because she's like, "Hey, what should I listen to?" for me, that's that.
Yeah.
Hey, Grandpa,
Yeah.
Yep.
you want you like if you want to read me the story again, like
Yeah.
that is
And as we're talking about it, I'm thinking of it that we talked about with Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner, Peter Falk being the grandfather who was also of that generation where he could do comedy, he could do drama,
Mhm.
he
Yeah.
could do anything, and was in all of these different type of movies and could sell it. I mean, Peter Falk, I'm going to say he's legendary. I'm not going to say that my son could see him and say, "Oh, I know that's Peter Falk." But Peter Falk, never a big superstar. He is what, like, he's not a that guy because he transcended being a that
Yeah.
guy. But Peter Falk, when you say, "Oh, he can be in any movie and can do anything," he's somebody who he doesn't look like Harrison Ford. So, you know,
doesn't
he's
need
not
to.
like the best looking guy, but you can buy him as Columbo. You can buy him in The In-Laws. You can buy him in The Great Race. You can buy him as a grandfather in this. So he's perfect for this type of movie that blends all of that stuff together. And him as the grandfather who had a career as an actor who could do anything.
Two other
And at
movies.
that end, when he turns around and just gives that look and says, like I
Yeah.
said, he reminds me
There's
of my Uncle Tilio, but he turns around and gives you that look and says, "As you wish." I mean, if you
Yeah.
don't feel anything, you have a
Yeah.
cold, shriveled heart inside.
dead inside.
You know, an
He's
actor,
dead inside.
an actor that is that way now is Gary Oldman.
Yes.
He
Yes.
can be
Yes.
anyone.
Yes. Yes.
Anyone.
Two other movies, Mike, that Falk did, I think, kind of show his range. Okay, Murder by Death
Yes. Yep.
and Robin
Very.
and the Seven and Robin and the Seven
The
Hoods.
Seven Hoods. Yep.
yeah.
Guy Gisbane, they're not doing a revival meeting. I'm not busting up a revival meeting. They're not doing a revival meeting, Mr.
Oh, and one more thing.
One more thing.
As
Excuse me,
someone,
sir.
sorry, I had
One
to throw
more
it in
thing, sir.
This is
there. He as some like it's a weird dichotomy being someone who is a radical constitutionalist, but also someone who, because he's a radical constitutionalist, enlisted in the Marine Corps, right? It's a very small political soapbox, but very small, like Ajax level soapbox. Peter Falk, we all know, glass eye.
Yep.
He lost an eye
Yep.
when he was in his youth. Because he could not enlist during World War II, he joined the Merchant Marines
Yeah.
and became a cook.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to make sure that he could contribute in some way or another. And punch fascists in the face. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
please.
we go back to the point of talking about humor and does it transcend. A couple weeks ago, about maybe a month and a half ago, I was teaching a humor badge. I know, like the guys from the other MASH thing. I'm involved in Scouts as well. I was a Scout as a kid, and I'm still involved in the program. And I was teaching humor at like an activity day. And I took like what makes them laugh, and then I did a slide of what makes me laugh is the Marx Brothers. And it's a movie my grandfather introduced, my dad introduced me to. Marx Brothers introduced me to the Marx Brothers. And I asked them what makes you laugh, and the kids answered me surprise, something unexpected, physical comedy. Okay?
Yeah.
I showed a clip from Night at the Opera. And if you've seen the movie, great. If not, it's a good movie. Go see it. Very funny movie. The stateroom scene. I showed
Yeah.
the scene where they do the order, and then the stateroom, and the
Yeah.
stateroom fills up with all these people, and then Margaret Dumont comes, opens the door, and all these people fall out of this shoebox of a room. And I stopped it, and I told the kid, and all the kids were like looking around, like, what? And I said, what year do you think that movie was made in? And they go, I said, almost 100 years. It was like
Yeah.
I think it was in the 30s. And I said, what did it have in it? Unexpected, physical humor, something physical, and funny. And the kids all went like, holy crap, like you see the lights kick on, like they're laughing at this almost 100-year-old movie and realize the same elements of humor were there, like, and the kids were like, whoa, I'm laughing at this old movie, like, wow. And I heard one of the kids go to like his grandfather, do we have that movie? We have it on disc. I'll show you when we get home. So, I mean, the thing is about bringing, you know, us passing down, and this is where we're going to go to the pop culture end of it, is us passing down what motivates us. What do we enjoy? And try to share in that, and I think that's just as important. Is why do we do this? Why do we sit here on a Sunday night? Over a virtual bar. I don't know what everybody else is drinking. I think this is a hard Mountain Dew.
Dropping a phone because I tried to shift my leg.
That's right.
Anyway,
Yeah,
But
I mean,
Gravity.
I'm sitting here and I have it playing in the background while we're talking, and we could, we joke about, you talked about that other podcast. We're all doing this podcast because of the Best Care Anywhere podcast, because we've met through that podcast. And I always
It's your
joke
fault. It's all your fault.
whenever I'm on there that these could be 7-hour podcasts, and this could be a 7-hour podcast because there's so much good stuff to talk about in this movie. And you're right, though. This is the type of movie that why I wanted to do a podcast like this is because I wanted to start, not that I needed a reason, but I wanted to go back to the movies that I grew up with and see how they, or not just movies, books, comic books, TV shows, music, and see how they affected other people and what they were passionate about. And a movie like this, sitting down here with my daughter and watching it and her getting into it. And I want to sit with my son again because I'm interested to see as a 14-year-old now, because as I said, we watched it 6 years ago and he was 8 and he kind of got it, but I don't think he would have a totally different reaction, I think, now watching it that he did then. So I don't need an excuse to watch The Princess Bride again. That's another thing.
Yeah.
The Princess Bride I think it's an hour and 37 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Very
a
quick.
movie. It's a movie that feels shorter than that.
Yeah.
Whenever it gets to where it's going, I always think, "Oh my God, we're here already. We're already at Mowage."
Yeah.
Mowage.
Well,
and I
Mowage.
think that might have been.
Yeah,
that's
you're
another-
you're in and out.
Yeah.
You're in and out quickly.
There's no fat.
It's good
Yeah.
for today's attention span, though.
Seriously, but that's another thing we were
It's
lucky.
not a 3-hour or 3.5-hour movie.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can be entertained quickly and get to the point instead of being like an Avatar or something.
It's like my son. He almost exclusively watches TV shows because the way his brain works, he does the episodes back to back to back to back. But he
Yeah.
likes the episodic things. So I have to
Yes.
tell him on something like this, honey, it's like 1.5 episodes. You
Yeah,
can do one
you're
and a
in and
half
out,
episodes,
man.
right?
You are in and
Yeah.
out. It's a movie that there is no fat. Everything is
it just moves.
perfectly timed. It moves and it gets in and out. It knows when to cut from one scene to another. There is nothing, like I said, I have the 4K, so it's a really nice 4K actually. It has like William Goldman did an essay for it, and they have behind the scenes stuff. They have cut scenes. You could see why they cut them.
Right.
Because it's a movie that does not, there's those movies that you say, oh, I wish they would have, I want to see
Yeah.
the extra scenes because it would have been cool to add to this. You don't need anything
Yeah,
else
it's not needed.
added to this movie. But like I was talking about Mowage, Peter Cook, we were lucky again. And whenever I say this, I'm sure 20 or 30 years from now, there's going to be somebody who is right now 14 is going to be doing a podcast and talking about how their generation was lucky to have this. But that's how I discovered Peter Cook. And even Dudley Moore with Arthur sitting and watching prison
Yes.
movies in my basement. And we talked about Monty Python. You would see Eric Idle and John Cleese show up in the Muppet movie. We were so lucky that all of these actors could do Life of Brian and Monty Python, but then could also be, you know what, I want to be in the Muppet movie for 5 minutes. I want to be in The Princess Bride for 4 minutes doing a funny accent. And then you say to yourself, when you see them again, you're like, oh, wait a minute, that's that guy from The Princess Bride. I want to see what else he was in.
Yep.
And then you go and see like an old Saturday Night Live episode that he and Dudley Moore hosted in the 70s and say, wait, that's the guy from Princess Bride. I say that to my son all the time when he asks me not important questions, because I don't know the answer. I just make it up whenever. But like pop culture questions or something, I'm like, you do have something in your hand where you could look this stuff up, and it will give you the exact answer.
You do carry a computer in your hand.
But you do carry a computer in your hand.
Oh, it's just not for pornography anymore. Look shit up.
Let me see what you're looking up. Hold on. Let me send
porn.
this site to my phone.
Yeah, I do that with my daughter all the time. Whenever we're watching movies, like we rewatched. That was hard to say. Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and not too long ago we had rewatched Clue. So I'm like, oh yeah, he was in Clue, and he was in Back. That's the Doc from Back to the Future, and so watching her,
you become a human Wikipedia.
Yeah, watching her like connect all the characters, because before we did the movie thing, she would just watch, she has some YouTube channels that she follows, so we, it wasn't even TV that she was into. It's more, she has, a few channels. And I was like, all right, every Friday we're going to sit down, we're going to watch movies, from when I was growing up. And, but it's really cool to see her, to put together, okay, this person was in that movie and that one was from that. And every so often we'll be watching something and like Michael J. Fox will show up. Oh, he was in Back to the Future. I'm like, yeah, you're getting it. You're getting it.
It's like teaching them the ABCs of culture, right?
Yeah.
I actually met Christopher Lloyd. He went to Period of Comic Con. I actually got to meet him. We were talking for about 20 minutes. And, I had said to him, I said, it was always kind of cool to see you in any movie you were in. I kind of brought it. And he went, interesting. I mean, he's kind of more like Reverend Jim in real life than anything.
Is he?
He was just kind of And because the funny thing is, I told him a story how my late father, who was a physicist, he was a legit physicist. He was a medical physicist. He worked in medical physics. Nice. Was a big Back to the Future fan. He was a huge Back to the Future fan. Loved the movie, loved the DeLorean. He had like Back to the Future stuff all over his office. I got him like a Funko Pop of like Marty in the radiation suit. He had like the out of time plate on his wall, and everything. And I told him how much I was a big fan, and he goes, I'm not really a physicist, right? Guys ask me questions. He's like, I'm just an actor. And I said, oh, no. I said, my father just loves the character. And I said, he's really kind of reminds you of some of the physicists he worked with when he was in graduate school. He would tell me stories about like one of his graduate advisors, basically lighting a pipe and leaving it in his pocket, to putting a beaker on a hot plate, and he kind of reminded him of Emmett Brown. And Chris Roy was so blown away by this. He goes, "Is he here? I'd like to meet him." And I go, "No, he's not here. My father's an older fellow. He doesn't really do Comic Cons and walks around." And he goes, "Could you tell him I really, really, really think it's cool?" And when I was talking in line to guys, like we were waiting for my turn, and I was talking to one guy on the end about Back to the Future, and I was talking to the other guys on the other end. I mean, we were talking Search for Spock as Commander Courage, Get out of there! I know the Bill Dunn and Celebrity Impression Hour. Let's see, I've done Don Adams.
No, but I mean that's
maybe
good.
I'll just do Pat Mettram as Mr. Haney, just to accelerate the whole. Who the heck is he talking about? Celebrity line. But I mean, the thing is, you see these celebrities, and while I was talking about Peter Cook, before my buddy got married, he married somebody who was married before. We're talking, somehow we're bringing faith into this tonight. I don't know what is this church hour tonight or whatever it is. Thank you for being at Palm Sunday, I guess. And he got married, and he couldn't get a priest to marry them because his wife had been married before. Most priests, aren't going to touch them with a 10-foot pole. And so we were floating the idea of his mother's very, 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 5 hours later, very religious. And so we floated the idea, me and my buddy floated the idea we should just have one of us be go to an internet ministry and just do it and just become an internet minister. And he goes, well, we're already in the wedding. My friend is the best man. He didn't want to do it. My friend who was in the Air Force at the time, he's like, well, I'm already going to be standing with him. He goes, you do it. I said, all right, fine. And my buddy goes, I bet you $50 you do it like Peter Cook and Princess Bride. I said, you're wrong. And I was rehearsing my voice, marriage. I was getting this marriage. And finally my buddy's mother got wind of what we were doing. And she's like, I am not having Dunn show up in a Hawaiian shirt doing Peter Cook and the goddamn Princess Bride. I will find you a priest. We're not having this. Not at my son's wedding. Oh, no, no, no. And everyone was like, really? And my friend was like, you were going to do Marriage from the Princess Bride? I go, yeah. I know it's one of your favorite movies. He goes, it's actually one of Heather's favorite movies, too. That was my name of my buddy's ex-wife. Go figure. They're not married now. He says, well, that's one of her favorite movies, too. That would have gone off great. I said, 2 words, blame your mother, because that would have been great. So that was kind of that thing with, marriage. I was, so that was, it does have an icon in the movie. And my friend was like, nobody's going to get it, though. I'm like, yeah, but we will, and that's okay. I mean, heck, I met my friend who was in the thing there, the Army of Darkness shirt on. We're going after the same girl. Realized she hated both of us, but we found out we loved Evil Dead. So that was my friend. That's how I met my friend. My friend Caleb is. We both were going after the same girl, and we both realized she's an idiot, and we both love Evil Dead. So why don't we just start talking Bruce Campbell movies? And that's literally how we became friends. So pop culture, I find pop culture in the movies we watch bind us like it's doing right now. I mean, we don't know anybody except we wouldn't know each other except talking on Twitter about, MASH. And here we are, all in kind of the same room talking about Princess Bride.
And I'm the weird outlier, right? Like I'm the one who's just talking
You
about
could have just
with
stopped that. You're
Nick.
the weird, and then that was
Yeah, I'm the weird. I'm talking
this
about
is
movies
relative.
with Mike, and I'm talking about wrestling with Brad, and I'm talking about horror with Brad and Bill, and I'm talking Doctor Who with Bella, and all of those things. Like, don't get me wrong, MASH is again another one of those cultural icons that you could not do now.
No.
You couldn't do. I mean, really, they probably shouldn't have done then, but it made sense considering the time frame it was in. But it's weird how these puzzle pieces fall into place. Much like the Tool song.
Well, I always liked a show. It was on in the early '90s. I remember seeing it with my dad, and it was this science show. It was based off of England, and maybe you guys saw it. It was when the Learning Channel actually was, for learning and not,
and not like
Honey Boo Boo.
27 kids in 27 kids and a trailer park.
Okay, at what point does that not become a tunnel from a World War II escape film? I mean, at what point do you have the scaffolding that comes out and goes, oh, I'm half expected when they sit down to hear, shut up, clink!
I'm going to get very close to my mic and say this.
Okay,
there was a whole
park
episode about that.
But I remember there was this show called Connections. It was a science show from back in the 80s, and the guy would connect the most asinine shit off the planet, and he would show you through the course of the hour how bocce balls related to the Kennedy assassination. Well, of course, we all know that it was Frank Sinatra and the mob, but okay, I digress. Take the tinfoil hat off, Bill. It's okay.
Hold on. Like my user handle is Tinfoil Consortium.
No, but see, you wouldn't know it to look at him. But Bill always does sum it up so well.
He really does.
He doesn't look like it, but you know what? he's the smartest
one
one.
of my
He's
favorite
the
movies.
smart.
I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
Making this up as I go. We're talking about that kind of stuff. We're talking about MASH. We're talking about The Princess Bride. That's what, as I said a little bit earlier, that's what this podcast is about. It's not about watching the movie and going through it. And that's fun too, doing, like a watch through and just going by beat. And we could, especially a movie like this where you could do it with all of the lines and all of the classic scenes. But it's about talking about what it was like with us growing up and discovering this movie and how it just travels over generations. And whether it's, you're sitting down with your kid to watch it, or you watch it with your dad, you watch it with your mom, you watch it with your grandfather, and then those memories and those connections that that you remember and that it forms with other people. I mean, I wasn't joking when I brought up in the beginning that I just put out there, I think I want to do a Princess Bride episode. And everybody was like, I want to do it. I want to be on that episode. And I was like, okay, I think I'm going to have a couple of people on this episode. And I'm probably going to have people mad now who are like, I didn't know that you were doing this. How come you didn't have me on here? Because I'll be like, hey, I didn't know I was going to be able to do 4 plus Anthony's significant other that we didn't know was guest starring on this episode. So now that we've been able to do this, I know that I can wrangle a bunch of people onto the show.
The funniest thing is this was the easiest one to schedule.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Hey, can we all do this then? Yep. Let's do this.
Except that I forgot to hit record, so we're gonna have to redo it. No,
Oh, you motherfucker! I'm sorry.
We
4
just
drinks in, folks.
We just got the E.
Can I just say I am jealous of all of you because you have a basement. I'm in Texas. We don't have those.
Well,
because
when
we
we
sit on the
finally-
shale. So we don't have basements. So every time
I'm
y'all
not
are like,
actually in
"Oh,
my
we-"
basement. This is my work office.
Yeah, I'm in my office too. You just can't. I just have the digital background.
Hey,
This is
listen.
my office.
I've got,
I work
like,
from
listen,
home, but it's a
I am
basement.
always honest with my audience. I am in my basement. So this is, and
I
when
wish I had
we
a
have
basement.
our
It'd be
when
so
we have our Best Care Anywhere / Pop Culture Basement get together, I'll bring you all down into the basement and we'll watch The Princess Bride together.
Very
all
nice.
right?
Very
We'll
nice.
watch the finale of MASH and we'll
Yes.
watch The Princess Bride.
Oh,
right after.
so 10 years from now.
So
Okay.
10 years from now, I might not be alive, but I'll leave it in my
Yeah.
will that my wife has to
Yeah.
have you all come out to the house.
Just gonna go on a full on The Secret thing then, right?
I'm just saying, between Princess Bride and the ending of MASH, we're going through more tissues than a porno theater at that point.
Well,
It's-
I didn't tell you what we're gonna watch after The Princess Bride. Then.
Oh my.
Steel Magnolias.
Hey,
But
just-
I mean,
just because I'm turned on by
say
that.
To be fair about that movie, I've always wondered how the hell do you make gray. I mean, I knew some culinary guys, I knew some pastry guys. My mother went to like pastry school, and she was like, I went to pastry school, and I still don't know how the hell you're supposed to make gray icing. Like, how do you do that? Like, how do you make gray icing?
And Mike, just for good measure, we're gonna end the night with Brian's song.
Yes.
Oh
No,
no.
no,
Just so we know.
no.
Yeah, we'll just have a better cry than the Hallmark Channel,
Well,
I mean, I
But,
once
you
made
know,
a joke
it-
how
it-
the Hallmark. I said to my late father actually liked watching those Hallmark Channel movies. He said they're goofy and they don't require a lot of thinking. I said to him one time, I said the only difference between those movies and late night HBO is one thing. He goes, "What's that?" I says, "The hot chick keeps her top on." Other than that, pretty much the same thing. And Anthony, my father was a lot like your father, very very buttoned up, very very Catholic, and he would just look at me like, "You're going to hell for that," and my mother would be on the other side of the room laughing her butt off. And laughing her butt off, wait for him to go to bed and be like, "Hey, you want to watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space again?"
Now, to defend my dad here briefly, my dad has never told me I'm going to hell for anything. My dad has very frequently said, let's be real, the 5 of us have talked multiple times.
Yes.
And we're very concerned about where things are going.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to leave it very vague.
Why? You can.
Like that?
Why? You could say it. Fuck ice. Fuck them.
Mhm.
Yeah, fuck ice. My dad's response was like I had expressed my emotions about it, especially because like my dad's a Vietnam vet and I'm a Iraqi war and war on terrorism and Afghan war veteran. Like I'm like I don't know how to fix this, and my dad gave me 3 pamphlets, and he was very nervous to do so. But it was, this is how I think we fix things. They're still sitting in the other room because like I understand that that's my dad's perspective on things. Like prayer can fix America, prayer can fix where we're at from his perspective. And you know, this my dad's very much a guy who puts his money where his mouth is, right?
Mhm.
Like he's not a church on Sunday, confession on Saturday Catholic. My dad is he does men's group on Monday. He does the food bank on Tuesday. He does the priest home on Wednesday. Doer, you know, and you know he's very much a faith without works is dead kind of guy, which I completely respect. It's not necessarily my thing, but I appreciate where he's coming from with it.
That was my dad as well.
Um,
He was a very active with the church. He was a lector. He read. He did work at the pantry.
yeah, exactly.
That we always didn't see eye to eye on faith, but he
But we can see eye to eye on comedy, and that's the
right,
important part.
and that's the thing that, but he never. But same thing. My father was Vietnam era.
Yeah,
He was in the Air Force. He was an Air Force. He was an airman, Vietnam era. So same age, and so but same thing. Just put his money where his mouth is. Very much guy. You know, he walked the walk and talked the talk, and same thing. So I think there's something about that generation because I think Mike, you said your dad's was
That was
Vietnam
a
era.
Marine in Vietnam. Yeah.
So that even though I'm the younger one of the group, all our parents are kind of in the same age range.
But I think it brings it back, and yeah, I'm like segueing to like sum it up. But I mean, I honestly do. I mean, a movie like this and the stuff that we talk about on this podcast, and I say we because I've had you guys on before, and I'll have you guys on in the future, is stuff that
Even
not
me.
only and no, even you
I
with
haven't
your,
pissed you off yet. Oh.
you're not allowed to have your Dodgers jersey when you come on again. But
I'm gonna wear my
Hey.
Cowboys jersey.
As long as it's not a Yankees jersey, I'm
I-
fine. all
I
right?
don't care if you wear your Cowboys jersey. That'll make me laugh. But
Hey,
like I think all of this stuff, it not only brings all of us together who come from all different places, all different backgrounds. It's a way to bring me closer with my kids to say, we're going to sit together for an hour and a half and watch something. And I hope you like it. And if you do, then we can watch something else that might be
Mhm.
similar. And I joke about it, but I don't want to force them to like the things I like. But yes, when they do like the things I like,
Yep.
it makes me happy. And I say, oh, this is great. Now this is something we can share. It's just
Yep.
another thing that we can share together. And then maybe one day you'll sit, maybe not in your basement, maybe you'll live in Texas and you won't have a basement, but you'll sit somewhere with your kid and you'll enjoy it too. Or maybe I'll sit somewhere with my grandkid when I have one a long, long time from now, because it's not, I still can't believe I have 2 children that I need to raise.
it makes you gray.
I don't have anything
But
to
you
go
can't
gray.
tell because I'm bald.
Yeah, I don't
but-
have anything to go gray, so it doesn't matter. But I do want to say that, you know, for the first episode, having multiple people on, I'm really glad that I was able to have you guys on because you have all been supporters of this show. And I'm happy that we have all met and been able to form friendships. You know, it's a very modern type of 2026, 21st century type of friendship that none of us
Yeah.
have met each other in person.
Yeah.
But we are all very, very close and talk to each other almost every day on
I mean,
Twitter.
y'all don't understand how close y'all were to getting visitations.
Hey,
during
man, I
the,
told you
the-
when you
the
were stuck,
blizzard
come
a few
down.
years
Yeah.
ago.
A
Or a
couple
few
months
months ago.
Yeah, hey.
Yeah,
I mean,
because,
I
like,
took the opportunity to invite you to Brad's house, even though I wasn't there. I said, go look up Brad. He's in New York. They'll be able to put you
well,
up.
it's just,
Yeah.
well, one, you have the company that's paying for a hotel, right? So, but like we were literally, we got on the last train to Jersey,
That's a
rented the
movie
last
title.
car out of
It
Jersey.
sounds like a Springsteen song. The last train to
Last
Jersey.
car to Jersey.
Maybe I was born to run. Yeah.
It
We
was the
drove-
missing song from Eddie and the Cruisers.
Yes.
Oh,
Dude.
That might have to
that's
be
a
a future.
movie.
That might have to be a future episode.
Now you're
John-
gonna bring in
John,
Tom
that
Berenger, and we're
was-
gonna have
that's
to
a
hear about
movie.
Mike and his mom, how much she loved Tom Berenger.
I've
My mom
actually
did.
seen
My
it.
mom
I
did
mean-
like Tom Berenger.
It really was like I was trying to figure out, because like most of my coworkers were going and doing stuff, right? We've already been to New York, so like none of my other coworkers had been, and we're like, okay, so what can we do? And I was trying to make arrangements to like try to see, like, test the water, see where Brad was on things, right? And then we ended up driving, and if it wasn't that we were being chased by like the storm of the century,
Mhm.
we would have stopped in Philly. We would have probably stopped in Boston, and made our way across. But also, you know, the significant other who was here previously, she had a work conference the next day
Yeah.
in Florida. So we literally drove nonstop from Newark to Indianapolis.
Oof.
Then she drove from Indianapolis to Pensacola.
Oof.
Then I flew down to Pensacola, and then we spent time with. But yeah, like one of these days, Alice. One of these days.
I always say, I think by now, Best Care Anywhere, like, we're sister shows. I mean, that show begat this show.
Yeah.
And I always say, I mean, I think they're recording tonight.
Yeah, I just
don't know
saw
when-
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
They
I
are.
don't know when this episode is going to come out, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'm time stamping. I think it's Palm Sunday. I think they're recording. They don't know what they've created, the monster they
have
have
no idea.
unleashed upon this earth with now this podcast and all of us. But much like the party in MASH, I think eventually it'll somehow happen that we will all get together. I mean, hey, I'm being actually serious. If there is some way that everybody could meet up here, I would love to have people there. But there's going to be some way that we will all meet up in person. But until then, talking online and doing these podcasts, I am grateful for the friendships I have formed. And again, it goes back into a movie like The Princess Bride and the other pop culture that we all love, is that these things can bring you together. And it's like John Cusack says, movies, TV, music, these things matter. And you can form friendships that will last forever.
I didn't know Brad was a fan of Eddie and the Cruisers. I'm like, I love that movie. I've actually seen Cafferty actually in concert. It's one of my dad's favorite bands.
There you go.
They're
I guess I'm having you both on for the Eddie and the Cruisers
they're
episode.
out of Rhode Island, and literally I've probably seen them like 4, 5, 6 times in concert. And actually, their longtime saxophonist, who was actually in the movie,
Yep.
There you go.
Tunes of Tunes, just died. And I guess they're kind of like, what do we do? Because he was like the backbone. If you ever heard John Caffrey, especially especially with the Getty and the Cruiser soundtrack, which is a criminally
great.
underrated soundtrack.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's criminally underrated. It's a great.
I'm
song.
writing down episode ideas right now.
And I mean, he's a saxophonist right up there with Clarence Clemens. I mean, you're
All right,
talking
say-
about Springsteen and
Bill,
Jersey.
you gotta save the good stuff for the
You
episode.
said the good
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Right?
All right.
Yeah,
I
like,
just
tease
can't
them,
geek over
but,
that
like,
movie 'cause I just
just
not a
cut a quick
movie.
2-minute promo, and you'll be fine.
I'm just saying, it's just refreshing to find another fan of Eddie and the Cruisers because
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
it's not a movie a lot of people talk about because it's like that movie existed. Like, what are you guys talking about? And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah, I've met Michael Paré a couple times.
All right, there you
oh
go.
shit, okay,
Yeah.
that is cool. And I mean, okay, yeah, I mean, to me, the sequel is kind of like, I treat the sequel the same way I treat Blues Brothers 2000.
That it never
It-
existed.
know that if you, it's not a great movie, but if you look at the music involved, the soundtrack, it's a
It's
killer sound. It's a killer
yeah.
soundtrack. It's a great movie, great musical movie. It's something that we don't use a lot of, and that was one of the big things I hated about the Star Wars sequels was Abrams did not. John Williams conducted a beautiful score. Abrams did not fucking use it. Like that just drives me up the
Well,
wall with rage. But now we're connecting. Now we're connecting through music. But it's
just so we don't give away all the ideas now that I'm going to have for future episodes, I'm going to say, I'm going to start wrapping it up, and I want to say, do you guys want to give out your social media credentials or remain relatively anonymous? And I'll start with Bellacissa if she wants to.
Oh, everybody knows me. I'm the loudmouth of the group, the loudmouth atheist. So on Twitter, I'm at the Bellacissa.
Come for the atheism, stay for the hilarity.
Stay for the hilarity. I'm a widow. I don't care what people think anymore. So, be fair warning. My Twitter is not for everyone, but yeah, come join me. I have fun.
Brad?
On the Hellscape app, I am at Ace of Joshi, or you can just look up my name, Big Beard Booty Daddy. And over on Blue Ski, I'm not over there a lot, but I'm starting to get back over there more. At Big Beard Booty Daddy over there as well.
Bill?
Okay, I guess I'm up. On the Hellscape Bird app, I'm Darth Bill 52. On Blue Sky, I think I'm Darth Bill 52. Pretty much it's just me. I mean, I just made it up and I let it stick. That's pretty much me. And yeah, it's all I've got so far.
Anthony?
I will remain anonymous. If you're friends with Mike, then you'll be able to surely see him like the various things I post. And I would like to point out that I have multiple spreadsheets of the best movies, but there's only 4 that are highlighted, and The Princess Bride is one of them.
Nice. There we go.
In the grand scheme of things, like Mike
What are
has
the other
said.
3?
What?
What are the other 3?
Well, one of them probably shouldn't be expressed, but
My goodness.
Star Wars, the Lord of the Rings, and Fight Club, because I am Jack's inflamed colon. But in the grand scheme of things, like if you're friends with Mike, you'll be able to find me pretty easily because I'm a fanboy, and I support things that I think are worthwhile to support. So,
Like
And
atheist
also-
widows?
what?
Like atheist
atheist
widows?
Yeah, that's all about it.
And listen, I'm sure everybody will agree with me that say thank you to your significant other, and also agree with me that you definitely outkicked your coverage on that one.
Hey, she's smarter than me on this. Like
Yeah.
I have I am lucky enough to have leveled up in this world.
Me too.
So I am boxing above my weight class.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
It's like keeping it PG-13. I've only used 1 F-bomb. I can use a second one. So I like it's fucking phenomenal.
Well, let her know that it was a nice surprise that she came on. That was a really nice surprise. As for me, as always, I am not going to call it what Apartheid Clyde calls it, because that would just be silly. I am on Twitter at Pop Culture Basement. I'm on Blueski. I'm copying off of Brad. I'm on there as Pop Culture Basement also. I'm now on Instagram and Threads because, all the cool kids are doing it. So I'm on there as Pop Culture. If you look for Pop Culture Basement on any of the social medias, even Facebook, you're going to find me. It's going to be stuff about the show, maybe some political stuff, but it's mostly stuff about the show. So if you're looking for that kind of stuff, look for Pop Culture Basement. You will find me. Please share my posts. Please like and share the episodes. It just helps get the word out there. I mean, look at all these guys that are on the show with because we started talking with each other and liking and sharing the show. So I'm just asking for help to get the show out there and get more people to join us in the insanity that we call the Pop Culture Basement. Look for us on Apple and Spotify. We're on YouTube. It's not video. It's just the podcast because nobody wants to see me or anybody else who I'm talking to.
You don't want to see me. You'll lose.
It's actually just a static picture of you, Bill, every time the episode comes up. I was wondering why that nobody is listening on YouTube, and now I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's why.
Because the picture you chose was he's not wearing pants.
Well, Bill
Yes.
said he is going to start doing feet pictures on the different social medias to make a little
That's
extra
right.
money. So
You
maybe
got-
we'll.
My
see my
OnlyFans
size,
is
13 and a half
Toe
mighty
Foil
feet,
Consortium.
But no, I want to say, I always, we're doing this and we've brought them up a couple times, but I do want to thank Best Care Anywhere. I do consider that like a sister show now, just because, if I wasn't on that show from the very beginning, I wouldn't have met all of you guys, and I probably wouldn't have started this podcast, and I wouldn't have all these friends on here talking about the Princess Bride. So
And I would never have been on a podcast ever
There you
without
go.
you. It's your fault.
That's right. When I
Blame you.
when I just decided to volunteer Bellacissa to those.
By the way, y'all should talk to Bellacissa. Here we go.
One night I get a call from him. Hey, I gotta do the Rolling Stones. You want in? I'm like, yeah, all right, sure. And I'm like sitting there going through my CD collection. Like, do I have this album? No, shit. All right.
At least you were awake for that one.
I'm not living that one down. I know it. Okay.
See,
I'm not,
this is what I mean. Best Care Anywhere has unleashed this, and then
I'm
I
not
unleash
living that one
I
down.
unleash more onto the world. So
Yeah,
it's like,
I've had friends who've had podcasts for years, and they've never had me on once, and then all of a sudden,
I'm like, "Hey, Brad, come
Mike
on."
is like, yeah.
Yeah, every other week I get a message. Hey, you want to do this?
Yeah.
That's
Let's
right.
do this one.
Anthony, I set 3 alarms for this just to make sure I was on. All right. I set like
So you
4
see,
notifications on the
everybody
calendar.
out there, you could be a part of this. Why would you not want to be a part of this? So look for me, like I said, on all the
Gird
socials.
your loins.
Pop
I don't
Culture
know why
Basement. And I was going to say, just please, if you can, share us on Apple, Spotify, throw us a 5-star review. It helps with the algorithm. And after listening to this episode, why would you not want to give us 5 stars? I mean, come on.
Right?
Seriously.
Man.
Even if you don't really mean it, just throw the
Yeah.
5.
Yeah, just give us
give
a
us a-
5.
Just
Seriously.
because.
You're not doing anything with it anyway. So.
Don't hoard the vibes.
A lot of us grew up Catholic on here. We know what it's like. Catholic guilt. Give us 5 stars. Please.
Or at
I'll use
least-
my old
at
Jewish
least go
guilt.
Saturday. Yes.
I'm atheist. I don't have guilt. Sorry.
I think on that note, we can simply say to everybody out there who has lasted this long, and bless you if you have. I'll tell you what, it's pretty much. Good night, boys. Have fun storming the castle.
Yeah, you know what though? Yeah, and even before that, you know what? Before I get into like the final thing, I want to thank you guys again, and I do want to say because we're date stamping this, it's Palm Sunday, and this past weekend was No Kings rallies all over the place. So I know a lot of podcasts they don't want to get involved. And listen, this is a pop culture podcast, but you know what? No Kings, fuck ice. I do this podcast because I need to keep my sanity some way, and watching the movies that I love and then talking to people about it and reading the comic books and books that I love and watching TV shows and listening to music that I love and then talking to people who also love that stuff helps to just keep me grounded in a world that every day you wake up to and just keeps getting more and more fucked up.
It drowns
So-
out the noise. You just watch. You look up. You watch the news, and it's, oh fuck! What the hell did that orange fuckhead do now?
But
Yep,
this,
so you know what?
this brings
If
us
you
all
can-
together.
Yeah.
That's the
And-
important part.
You
And
know
we've been
that's
talking.
and that's what's going to get us together, and that's what's going to get us through this, is realizing, look, we're all different backgrounds. We've all come from different backgrounds. We all come from different walks of life. And how we're going to get through it is how we've gotten, how civilization has gotten through. I don't care if it's the fall of Rome to anything else. There was always a central point. There was always the tavern.
That and a whole lot of whiskey.
Yeah.
I'm on
or
number
mulled
5.
wine or whatever. But there was always, before we had movies, projections, there was always some fermented beverage, friends, and talking about how the hell we're all going to get through whatever fuck situation we're in.
Yep.
And that's what brings us together. And then we're going to do that, whether it be media, podcast, whatever. The mulled beverage and how we do things is going to get us by.
And sometimes it's a movie from 1987, and we watched it, and then we watched it with friends, we watched it with family members, we watched it with parents, and then we go down into the basement, or if you're in Texas, you go into your living room.
Mm-hmm.
You pop it into the DVD player, maybe you pop it into the VCR if you still have one, and you watch it again, and you pass that down, and you pass that down, and you pass it down, and that's how we're all going to stay sane. And I just want to say to everybody, good luck, stay sane, watch The Princess Bride, listen to that song, listen to that album you like, watch that movie you like, watch that TV show you like, and come here, we're probably going to be talking about it. And until we do, I want to thank you guys all again, and I want to thank everybody who's out there listening. Stay safe, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye, boys.
Have fun storming the castle.
Think it'll work?
It would take a miracle.
Bye-bye.